What's up, world? It's your boy Mike Muse. I'm coming in hot right now. How I met this guy right now was absolutely amazing, and probably my most memorable introduction. Kind of played myself, kind of did it. I am so excited to be in conversation with my next guest. I have never thought I would have a career in media and journalism. I was an industrial engineer, as you guys know. I did nuclear and chemical research. I talk about that often. And I was able to watch this guy just as a fan of his. I was a big lover of film. I remember seeing him appear on the stage. The first movie I saw him was in Glory with my family, and I was captivated by his presence. And I believe I pretty much have saw 95% of all of his films since. I don't miss a film. What he brings to the film, his presence on the film is just unbelievable. It's captivating and it's nuanced. It's intriguing. I don't think this man needs any more of an introduction besides that. Ladies and gentlemen, the amazing thespian, Denzel Washington. What is happening, Denzel?
Thank you, man. What an introduction. Gee whiz.
Yeah, man, deserving of that. I literally remember seeing you in Glory. And when I think about Denzel Washington, that's actually the first thing that comes to mind. There's three things that comes to mind, Denzel. You ready?
Okay.
The first is Glory. The second is your masterful performance in Malcolm X, which is one of my favorite films to this day, right? And the range and nuance you had, and still the thing you did with the hand gesture is unbelievable.
Right.
And my third, Denzel, are you ready?
Uh-oh.
Me not seeing you at Broadway when you were in Caesar. That is one of my biggest regrets of a lifetime, not seeing you on the stage.
Well, I'm sorry you missed it. But you got to see Macbeth, so that's.
I did. So I think of you sometimes. I think of regrets of myself. Like, how did I miss Denzel being on the stage? So Denzel, you have to come back to Broadway just for me. Just maybe a 1 week limited.
Just just you. Just a one-man show, and you're the only one in the audience.
Just 5 minutes. I'll even rent it out. You got to make our order pizza.
All right, fair enough.
Fair enough. Ladies and gentlemen, Denzel is here for this incredible film, The Tragedy of Macbeth. I had the opportunity to see it not once but twice, and because the first time I saw it, it was so captivating. And I remember, Denzel, when I saw the trailer that came out for it, I was like, oh, this shut Hollywood down. Like, this is what's going to be one of the most masterful performances. I'm a big fan of words. I love language. I love the use of language and the positioning of language. There's no other greater use of language than in Shakespeare. And then for you to be able to recite those words, Denzel, was absolutely mind-blowing. And then the second time, you did it so effortlessly. I actually put it on a closed caption just so I can read the words. I'm like, is he really saying what I think he's saying? But he's saying it so effortlessly, right? And so kudos to your mastery of the Shakespearean language, my brother.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah. How did you prepare for something of that nature? Because in reading it with the closed caption the second time, it almost felt like it was a second language. That's not how we speak conversationally in society today. And so how did you prepare for that switch? Because it's literally, you just do it effortlessly. And so conversationally,
I think we hit the nail on the head in that it's our job, the actor's job, to figure out exactly what Shakespeare is talking about, what he meant, why now, why in that moment. So, and then what I would try to do is turn that into everyday language for myself. Here's a bad version. If it says that light thou must be gone or something, then I would say I got to turn off the light. I got to get rid of the light. So that was the meaning. I have to get rid of the light. But the line might be light that must be gone, or so. That's a bad version. But
no,
you can get into this Shakespearean light that must be, No, yeah. What do you mean, and what do you want? I want the light turned off. So turn the light off.
And you master that. That's really the art of translation, right? And that's really you just embodying, to me, the spirit of Macbeth, and like what is Macbeth feeling and experiencing in that moment, and then you communicate it through the use of the language, right? And one thing I've always noticed about you, Denzel, is your mastery to me. And I'm not an actor. I'm not an acting coach. I don't have all the right terminology and diction for it, but just your subtlety in terms of your movements, right? Like your gestures. I remember that one scene where I believe that you were in your home, and then the king enters your home and you're preparing, to welcome him. And you're going through your monologue. And then there's this moment when you just look up into the rafters, into the sky, and you literally had me in that moment along for the ride. And so how do you even think about your gestures? Because for me, that's such an extension of the characters that you always bring to life so well.
I never think about gestures. You work from the inside out, not the outside in. You know, so if I believe it, then I believe. Like my hands just did that. Like I said, you work from the inside out. I don't start with, oh, I'll point to my chest and then do this with my hands, and that will tell the story I want to tell. No, I start with what's the truth? You know, find the truth in it and tell the truth, and then the physicality will find itself. Sometimes it's just the shoes hurt. No, I'm laughing, but it's true. One of the first things I like to do, and a lot of actors like to do, is get the shoes on that they're going to wear, because, you know, like in this film, Macbeth was those boots. So I wanted a pair of the boots as soon as possible, because it's going to change your gait. It's going to change the way you walk. It might have just been that my feet were hurting. You never know. You know, you just don't know. And someone goes, man, that magic, the way you did that. I'm like, yeah, actually it was called a bunion. You know, but doesn't matter where you got it from. You use it all.
Well, speaking of using it all, you mentioned gait, and I've been thinking about the opening scene when we see you, when you come into the fog and the fog clears, and you're about to approach the witches, the witch, and then witches plural. The gait and the structure of your entrance into the film, to me, also to set the tone. I can't believe I'm leaning so much into the physicality of this film. I didn't think I was going to go here, but since we're here, there was something about when you know the story of Macbeth, an audience, if you may not be familiar with Macbeth, just to kind of give you a quick synopsis, it's a story of power, obsession, greed, murder, and the need for more, right? And what you're willing to do it at all costs. And so you came in this very towering presence, but then we kind of physically saw you over the iteration of 105 minutes began to transform to vulnerability, to nervousness, to excitement, to empathy. And there was something about the physicality of that. Did you expect for this role to be this physical, right? In terms of nuance and bringing that onto the screen?
I didn't plan it, you know, nor do I notate it, you know, as I go along. It comes out of the reality, you know, whatever it becomes out of the fullness of creating that character, you know, from the way he walks to the way he fights, to the way he eats, to the way he sleeps, to, you know, how his clothes fit. Does he like them? Does he not? Does he think he's overweight? Does he all of those human things? Yeah, no, that you ask yourself.
Yeah, I'm laughing because, audience, when you see it, if you haven't, it's out now. When you see it, you will hear what he's talking about, right? I just remember you sitting, there seems to be sitting on the bed, you know, and kind of going through the motions of it, right? When you're sitting on the side of the bed and you're about to kill the king, is this, your face was so stoic, you know, in that moment. It was like this calmness, right, about you that really let us know the complexities of the manicness of Macbeth when it comes to that. So Denzel, I have another question, and forgive me, this is just because I've always wanted to ask you, right? I think it's coming through in this lens of Shakespeare and Macbeth. When I saw the trailer, I was so excited at the idea of my favorite actor of all time actually doing Shakespeare. And I had the chance to be able to witness to that. You know, what were you going through your mind when you got landed the script, right? Like, did the weight of this role hit you? The responsibility of this role hit you? I'm just curious.
No, not like that. I didn't go, oh my goodness, this is Macbeth. I mean, I played some really big parts, you know.
Oh yeah.
I think it was more pressure even playing Brutus and Julius Caesar on stage, because it's live, you know, it's 2 hours live, and you got to remember the whole play that night. You know, yeah, this is a movie, you know, where you could stop and go and fix it and go back and do takes, and Joel may not be on me anyway for that, what I thought was my most brilliant part of the, you know, whatever. You know, it's a director's medium, so he's going to decide editorially where he wants the audience to look. Mm-hmm. Even doing that speech about the dagger, sometimes he's on my feet. There's a momentum to it, and there's a sonic. If you watch it again, there's a sonic there's a musicality to what he does with sound in the film, not just the language, but if you listen to the sound, the thumping and the beating and the blood dripping and the pulse,
Well, now that we're here on sound, because you're absolutely right, not only the topic, but it's very minimalistic sound. It kind of goes with the backdrop of the set, which is a minimalistic set too as well. And then you hear the sounds of crows and birds and certain chirps that bring kind of like this eeriness, but yet this calmness to it. That makes me think about, the cadence of your speech too as well. I felt like your rhythm, like your speech had a cadence and a delivery of some of the lines that was happening.
He's trying to work things out. It's just like I just said that. He's trying to work things out, as opposed to he's trying to work things out.
Yeah.
He's working it out as he goes as well. So he's got to work it out. The thoughts have to come, and then the language comes from what he's thinking, as opposed to this is a monologue. And that's all it is. And the monologue means this. What do you really feel in the moment? What are you afraid of? What do you want? How do you get it? And what's in your way?
Yeah, I feel like that's exactly what you think about for now that as we're talking, the film then almost is very immersive because I felt like I was on a journey with Macbeth, right? Like I felt like I was processing what he was processing almost in real time. And that's rare that actually happens when it's on film. Do you think, Denzel, is because this was like a stage play and then it's being transformed into a film, so it kind of has that immersiveness feel to it?
Well, and because it's a film and they're giant close-ups, so you get to really get between his or her or whoever's ears and to think what they're thinking, like Ross. Yeah, and you see Ross right before with Lady Macbeth. That last couple of looks we see at Ross is like, ooh,
like nah, bruh, nah, bruh. This ain't what you want. This ain't what you want. Yeah, this ain't what you want. But this I'm having fun. I hope you're having fun too, audience. I'm having a blast right now. I'm talking to like Denzel Washington, unreal. Pinch myself. And I'm discussing film with him. This is nuts, Denzel. The scene, also, I'm gonna do two scenes and we can talk about some other things too as well. When you got so frustrated and you threw the basin off of the table, that was such a powerful scene to me because there was moments in this film where the language really is pulling it, but it's pulling it in a very awesome way and it's keeping the energy kind of going. But then there's moments, it's not like a strong like fight scenes or anything like that. But there's hints of these moments that kind of shocks the viewer into that moment. And for me, that was a powerful moment. I'm just wondering what was going through your mind as you were approaching that scene in particular.
I don't even remember that what I was thinking. And I remember knocking the thing off and the violence of it.
Yeah.
One of the lines he says, and mine eternal jewel is your soul. He says, and mine eternal jewel, which is my soul, given to the common enemy of man, which is the devil, to make them kings. So it's a heck of a line. He said, and mine eternal jewel, given to the common enemy of man, to make them kings.
Yes.
And then he says, the seeds. It can't be a better word. Shakespeare is brilliant. He introduced them to seeds, the seeds of Banquo kings. I mean, it's brilliant.
It's the sheer audacity, right? Like that you would give this brother the seeds, right?
Seeds. Yeah, the thing we don't have is seeds.
We don't have that, and I'm lacking that. But you want to give this to him, the prophecy, right? And not me. I'm good. I'm whole in the beginning, right? Like I'm deserving, right? Like
they in his mind, they all deserve to die. But then he says, blood will have blood. The more he gets into it, the deeper it I think he says something like, I'm up to my waist or something. I'm in blood so far that it would be more tedious to turn around and go back than to keep going forward, something like that.
But that's almost the psychosis of like a manic individual, right? It's almost just like, well, we're here, right? So I might as well keep going further, right? Why stop killing just one? If I believe now that my power, right, my crown is in jeopardy, well, let me kill all of them because I've already done the first deed, right? So it's like once you do the first deed, the deed is done, right? My fate is sealed.
Not to mention the reality, he was a killer. He was a warrior. That's what he did for a living.
Didn't think about that.
That's what he does for a living, is he kills people. And he's patted on the back for that. He's made everything but king.
Yes,
for killing people. And he's right there, and they're going, yeah, you're going to be king. Just kill everybody. And he kills everybody, and they go, nope, not you. We're going to give it to him.
Malcolm, but he was so pissed. But wait, yo, Denzel, you really just messed me up right there, right? As if we're discovering something for the first time. But like, I didn't think about the idea that he was a soldier. And on the battlefield in particular, and a soldier back then, there was no drones back in the day, right? So it was, no AI technology.
Right, no bullets.
No bullets. It's hand to hand, sword to sword, fist to cuff, if you will. And so killing for him was the norm. And so you take somebody who's egocentric, greed, hungry for power, indirectly, but then someone who's used to killing already, then there really isn't a moral compass.
And if there are no bullets and all those things, then you end up killing close, which is what he does. He lays on top of the king.
He does. So no wonder then I talked earlier about the stoicness of your face. That's where it was coming from, because he was so used to killing already. There was almost a calmness that was over, because once you're on the battlefield and you've seen all that blood, right? It's just like, this is like light work, right? This is just like your coffee break or your cigarette break.
In all the research, I've done so many films about war, and I've done a lot of research with soldiers. And I've done a lot of training with soldiers, different wars, and real soldiers. And one of the things I found, I remember one guy in particular, his eyes were just, it's not like they were dead, but he had seen so much. You knew this man had killed a lot of people, and you could see it in his eyes. And that's the last thing that the king saw. In Macbeth's eyes. I mean, he was a professional murderer.
He was. And you could almost tell when the king recognized in the moment what his fate was about to be, right? And there was a sense of resolve. There was a little bit of fighting, but it was almost like, what am I going to do with this, right? Like, it is written, it is so. But in the same time, talking about the soldier, Macbeth is so valiant, and I use that word interesting, I love the valiant, towards the end, where the prophecy was citing that, it won't be a woman's born to a man born to a woman.
A woman born, that's right. And he was ripped from his mother's womb.
Man, that messed me up. Something so cold.
Shakespeare, he covers it all. He covers it all.
Oh, brother, my bad. But then when I loved you when you said, well, I'm going to give it a good fight anyway. I was like, that's my Denzel. That's my training day Denzel.
Might as well.
In that moment, training day, when you point to everybody, right? Like that, I was like, that's the Denzel I know. You went from Macbeth to Denzel just for a minute. I'm obsessed with everything, man. But what's so interesting, Denzel, as we're talking about this, I'm always talking about how film and pop culture moderate social discourse of our time, our society. And you think about where we are right now, and I don't want to dive into like social conflicts, but you think about like capitalism, we're having a conversation about that, and greed, right? We're at this time now where everybody just wants more, it seems like, right? And come hell or high water, people are almost out for self in a really interesting way. I'm not saying to the point of they're killing like Macbeth, but there is this essence of more, this essence of greed that is percolating and bubbling with our society. And I think that's why the timing of Macbeth right now is so perfect.
Well, it's always been there, the greed, the wanting more. What's added to the equation now is the acceleration of information, the pace of it. We want it yesterday. We've always wanted it, but now we have systems in place, information systems in place that make us think we can have it right now. We can have it immediately. We can have it instantly, and the fullness of it. And you can't.
You can't. You can't. So, I'm thinking about that opening line of yours, of Macbeth, right, where you say, and forgive me if I get it wrong, but when you say fair is foul and foul is fair, that did I get it right, Denzel?
Yeah, do I say that? They say that, but I say
someone says it.
What a fair and something day today is something I say. Yeah, but they say the riches say fair is foul is fair, something like that.
Got it. Yeah, but so that line to me stood out when I heard it because it made me think about, when I watched it a second time, it made me think about where we are in our society, where for some who have and for some who are doing and some who are acquiring whatever their interests are, for them, they believe it's fair, right? And so for others, they believe it's foul. So for me, it's all about, the perspective, right? And reality is relative, right? Like what's my reality may be different than your reality, right? What I may seem as fair, you may seem as foul, right? And so it's all from our point of view, from our experience, or from our journey. So I thought that was a really good way that Macbeth is moderating right now. Powerful film, Denzel. Denzel, with that being said, I've had too much fun with you. I literally have kind of worked up a sweat in talking to you. This makes up for not seeing you on Broadway within Caesar. Now, see how you brought that up in the middle of the interview? I wasn't going to say nothing to you. I was like, damn, he really did bring up Caesar right now. I'll just be remiss. Someone said, to a screening I went to, they said that what she loved about this film is that now so many kids growing up who watch this, their first impression will be Shakespeare, Macbeth as a Black man who plays Shakespeare. And I just thought that was just so powerful. And I was just thinking about that and reflecting on, one of your role models and your icons, Sidney Poitier, and just talking about that. And what I loved about the legacy that he left was that I felt like he was so transformative in all of his roles. And you mentioned fullness earlier in the interview. What I loved about Sidney was that he showed the fullness of Black identity and Black range and showed what was possible on film. And so I think there's something so special about, for me, what I see of his legacy is being carried out with you within this narrative that a Black man can play Shakespeare as a lead. And that's what young boys and young girls would see now at this time.
I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah, I thought that was very powerful, man.
Thank you.
Denzel, I absolutely love you.
Thank you, brother.
As you can tell.
Thank you. It's good to be loved.
Yeah, it's good to be loved, man. Thank you so much, man. I hope you will come back again and join me sometime on the Mike Muse Show.
I will see you then.
Okay, all right, buddy. Take care, Denzel.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, my guy. All right, peace.